And hello everybody, welcome back to British Stand. We've got a really interesting one for you today, and actually a must-watch is with regard to Sadiq Khan, and of course a police whistleblower coming out and essentially exposing the huge cover-up that has gone on in the city for decades. Now, Sadiq Khan, on 9 different occasions, has actually came out and refused to answer questions with regard to grooming gangs. He said that he doesn't know what they are. You know, we've seen the clips, him pretending and playing absolutely stupid. However, a police whistleblower, a former police investigator in the Met Police, has done his own investigation and has found over 52 cases to date so far. And stated these date back as far as 20 years ago. But as stated, Sadiq Khan pretends that it hasn't, almost like he's covering it up. There's been a lot of reaction to this video. We're going to get into the video momentarily of the police whistleblower speaking about the situation. But of course, there has been fellow MPs, of course, calling for the resignation now of Sadiq Khan. Susan Hall, of course, the leader of the Conservative in the London Assembly, has been particularly scathing of Sadiq Khan in recent months. And Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary, has essentially said that the comments made by John Wedger, which we're going to be getting to in a minute, are damning. This is yet another example of a cover-up from the police who shut down this investigation into child sexual exploitation in London. Sadiq Khan should be leaving no stone unturned to get to the bottom of the organised child sexual exploitation in the city. Instead, he has been facilitating a cover-up. Lee Anderson has also called for the removal of the mayor. Let's waste no more time. Let's get into this, as it is a must-watch, guys. But first, please do hit the like button and hit the subscribe button for more British content. Have a watch of this.
In London.
I'm not sure why she's so nervous to say what she means. What do you mean?
He's dangerous, and he should not be. He is the donkey that is leading the lions.
I'm unclear, Chair, what is meant by the question. If you could spell it out, I can answer.
I've just spelled it out.
This guy is failing society's most vulnerable. He should be removed.
Can she be clear what she means by that? I'm not clear what she means.
How much clearer do you want me to be?
Oh, man. The Met Police is doing that. It's doing that and that. My name is John Wedger. I'm a retired Metropolitan Police detective. I specialised in child abuse investigations, and I'm more sort of well known or come to prominence for my role as a whistleblower for my part in speaking out about the police's and government's deliberate cover-up of what I will term child prostitution. I went, after leaving the Metropolitan Police's vice unit where I dealt with child prostitution, where I'd actually uncovered kids there on an industrial scale from the age of 9 to 14 that were being trafficked for prostitution. They were being sold in crack houses in the mornings. They would be swapped for 9, 10 cracks, rocks of crack a piece. From there, they'd be taken to hotels that did a rental by an hour. And usually the people that would go in there to have sex with the children were builders that were away from home, that were working in central London. After that, the kids would then be taken to upmarket Arab restaurants in Mayfair, around the Curzon Street area, where they would be traded for as much as £2,000 each. And that was happening on a daily basis. This was circa 2004 to 2007, when I submitted intelligence reports of what was going on. I was threatened by the senior officer for Scotland Yard, telling me that if I ever mentioned what I'd uncovered, I would lose my home, my job and my children. I would be thrown to the wolves, and it must not and will not ever get out. If it does, it will. The Metropolitan Police, past, present and future, it will never ever get out. After that, I left that unit. That case had 36 young children that were all subject to care orders that were, like I said, from the age of 9 to 14 that were being pimped out. Every single one was harbouring a Class A drug addiction, and many had life-threatening diseases relating to their lifestyle, such as HIV, AIDS, hepatitis C, and contagious tuberculosis. Right? Nothing was being done to help these kids. Social services were fully aware of it. The police were aware of it, and I had documented evidence that the Metropolitan Police's dedicated vice unit that was set up to deal with juveniles at risk of prostitution had known about this scenario for the past 15 years and had done nothing. One of the homes, if I can find it, I just found it a minute ago, it had here, this one here, I spoke to a guy in there called Andre. He was the manager of the home. I said, how many kids you got? He said 6. I said, and how many do you lose at the weekend to prostitution? And out of the 6, he said 5. Social services knew about it. The police's missing persons knew about it. Nothing was ever done about it. Nothing was ever done. One of the boys that was involved, he was in such advanced stages of AIDS, a young boy in his very, very early teens, subject to a care order, placed into a care home for his own safety. He was being picked up and he was being pimped out. This boy was so sick, he sometimes had to be carried into a car, an awaiting car, to be taken off to be pimped out. And he had open sores in his, relevant areas. And as far as I'm aware, he died shortly after his name was provided. Within 10 minutes, I'd found 10 children. 10 children that were being pimped out. Children under the age of 16. Children vulnerable to start with that were placed into care. By the end of the 3rd day of doing this, I found 52 children. 52. I held a meeting with all concerned agencies, so NGOs, social services, well-known charities, children's charities, well-known ones.
I emphasize again, it is free to join my community. The stock.
And I invited along the Missing Persons Unit. I invited along the Clubs and Vice Unit. And I invited along other child protection units. Only the Missing Persons Unit turned up. And during that meeting, I was threatened by the head of child safeguarding for a major children's charity that I am treading on toes and I'm not to pursue this any further. Initially, when I spoke out, when I was on the Vice Unit, to my knowledge, there was no other dedicated officer to deal with this for the next 7 years until Jimmy Savile was exposed. Jimmy Savile was the catalyst that opened this up to the world, because we started getting glimmers of truth came out of his death, although there was a huge cover-up, as we all know. What came out of it were other officers that had spoken out on exactly the same issue and been bullied exactly the same way. We all know of the Greater Manchester Police's one with the grooming gangs in Rochdale, and there was a documentary called 3 Girls. 3 girls from Manchester who had a dedicated unit, may I ask, not decrying it, and the officer dealing with it did a good job. She's a good woman, Maggie, who dealt with it. I found 3 kids in 3 minutes. I found 52 kids in 3 days. This was on a level surpassing any provincial town going. The cover-ups of the grooming gangs in these provincial towns does go on because I've experienced it, and it's police corruption. And also it's reluctance by agencies that purport to protect kids from speaking out. There's a lot of fear, there's a lot of bullying. There's a lot with the police. This has to be dealt with by what's known as a proactive approach. What I did was proactive. I didn't wait for child prostitutes to come knocking on my door saying, please help me, although that did happen. And when it did, my superiors told me, ignore them, they're liars.
If the scale was far larger in London, why was nothing happening?
Because the police have removed dedicated officers to deal with it. They are not proactively seeking it, and they are not giving the victims and survivors the voice. Finding children, it's like lifting that rock. Once you lift it up, there is this underbelly in society that you can't put that lid back down, you can't, because it just emanates. So the best thing to do is ignore it. If you ignore it, it doesn't exist. And that is a fact, right? If I can find 10 children being pimped out in 10 minutes, what could a national unit do? Well, they could change society for the next 3 generations. That's what they could do. There is no will to do it. If you ask me why there's no will to do it, I base it on 3 elements: incompetence, laziness, and corruption.
Well, there you go. I mean, that was pretty wild. I mean, look, listen, I've seen the London assemblies, of course, with Sadiq Khan, and to be fair, his attitude towards it is pretty horrible. He is. He, as you said at the start of that clip, he kind of toys with Susan, who has spoke about it quite in depth within the London Assembly, and he, again, has rejected or even acknowledged to try and speak about it 9 times. We've seen that clip where he was like, well, spell it out. What are you trying to say? He was trying to race bait. And of course, Sadiq Khan has already repeatedly rejected inquiries in London, saying they are not needed. However, you've got former Metropolitan Police inspectors that are coming out and saying, well, yes, there is. And this individual here, who we've just listened to, John Wedger, has already done his own investigation and has found over 52 cases so far. Now, there is a lot of pressure now from Sadiq Khan, of course, to resign from his position, but also saying that Sadiq Khan should not be leaving a stone unturned within the London. But he's rejected it. He's saying that it's not needed. And Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp believes he is facilitating a cover-up. Lee Anderson has said that Sadiq Khan is either to step down or be removed from office. We cannot allow the continued destruction of our capital city or its further degradation on the world stage. Now, more victims from other regions are now stepping forward to criticise Khan. They also believe that if he was to do an inquiry, it would be a sham. And the Met Police admit this is a major ongoing problem. However, Sadiq Khan's team have denied absolutely everything. A spokesperson for the Mayor of London said these accusations are false, malicious, and politically motivated. The Mayor is committed to doing everything in his power to build a safer London for everyone, and has always been clear that all violence against women and girls must be treated with the most utmost urgency, both by our police and our society as a whole. The council in London has also denied it's going on. A spokesperson for the council said, "We have not been made aware of these historic allegations. Any concerns of this nature which are raised with us would be taken extremely seriously. Keeping our young children safe from harm has and always will be our number 1 priority." However, he has gone on record here. John has gone on record and spoke about it with the Express. And you've just seen that interview. So, yeah, if true, which I don't see why a retired police officer who works the Met would be making something like this up, there should be a full inquiry into London and Sadiq Khan should be removed, because he refuted and refused to even acknowledge what a grooming gang actually was all the way back in February. I've seen Susan come up to him, the Conservative leader, so many times in the London Assembly, try to talk about it. And he uses a dismissive attitude and actually just tries to play down things and use it as a race-baiting method, which is absolutely shameless. I just want to take some reaction here in the live chat. Moonlight Santana says he is great at gaslighting like the rest of Labour. Yes, he is. He gaslights all of the time. That's a typical narcissist technique, gaslighting individuals. And Sadiq Khan does that method very, very well. The guy is a compulsive liar. And the way that he tiptoes around this particular situation shows that he doesn't want to speak about it. He doesn't want there to be an investigation. In fact, he's repeatedly refuted and refused an investigation and an inquiry into London. Social services and schools are all involved in my experience. Stephen says, Khan and Starman need to be jailed. Khan is hiding so much, he needs to go. Well, Khan, apart from this situation, needs to go in general. He can't be staying in office in power. London is a cesspit. We already know that. I've just came and visited London for the Unite the Kingdom rally. And whilst the Unite the Kingdom rally was a breath of fresh air, it was absolutely fantastic to watch and fantastic to be a part of. The days leading up to being in the city, you could see its problems. It's a shit pit. You know, there's litter everywhere. There's trash that's not been taken out. It's just, and I wouldn't even go into the demographics, but, you know, London is not the same. It's a fallen place. And Sadiq Khan is complicit in that as well. So not just talking about this situation, taking this aside, whether it's true or whether it's not true on what John Wedger is saying here, he is a bad leader and has been rewarded for sheer negligence. He's been knighted for his role of 3 terms as the London mayor. But the place is the worst it's ever been. Looking more like Paris every single day. But yeah, this is a very interesting watch, and again, I couldn't believe what I was hearing here. But John, again, let's see what anything comes off of this. But I don't know what he would have or he would do to come out publicly and whistleblow this. You know, he was talking about the inside and what the Metropolitan Police's response was whilst he was in the force. And we've seen it over the decades gone by that the police were covering up such incidents. So, again, it seems like it has a correlation of truth as to what has gone on in yesteryears. But guys, do let me know your thoughts on this down there in the comment section below. I won't keep you too long, but thank you so much for tuning in. We are back to live streaming now that, of course, the event is done. It was great to see. I met a couple of you as well on the ground. So yeah, big shout out to everyone that I met whilst I was there. And guys, look after yourselves and do let me know your thoughts on this down there in the comment section below. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you all next time. Take care. Peace.